So welcome to another exploration into consciousness. Absolutely fabulous to have you guys here. And we're talking about energetic foundations. Tanya, you've got Venice behind you. Tell us a little bit the thread that you started.
So, I saw the post that you did, like a week ago, Martina, where you were posting how Venice was constructed, right? How they took these, it was a marsh, basically, a saltwater marsh, that they took giant wooden pillars and put them down into that peaty marsh to create the foundation for the buildings in Venice. And there was a lot of pictures that were shown, and then all of a sudden all of this like Egypt under the pyramid foundation stuff came up. So thinking about what is a foundation and why are these things coming up now, right? There's all of this energy underground that is resonating with Earth Mother that's pushing up to the surface into our awareness. And so, like, what does that foundation mean? I was in Egypt 2 years ago, and the lady who took us around, Hala, the Sugar Queen at Egypt Royal Tours, amazing, great energy. Her grandparents grew up on the Giza Plateau, and all of those houses are gone now. They, totally like deconstructed them, and now they're doing all this excavation and stuff underneath the pyramids. We were there 2 years ago. Actually, so today is day 2 of the 260 galactic cycle, the lunar white lunar wind. And we were there on the white lunar wind day and went underneath into this tomb of what was it called? Mary's Ankh 3. So it was this king, but it was his daughters and wife whose tomb it was. And so I posted pictures on this Instagram reel that I did, but we're basically like right underneath that middle pyramid. And we sat in this burial chamber where the walls almost look like Himalayan pink salt, but they're calcite and quartz. And you could see the sparkly quartz and calcite within the walls. It was just fabulous and such powerful energy right in that space. But, to me, it's like, I do healing work and I'm very energetically sensitive. And it's very powerful energy, but it didn't seem to have any kind of directionality. So I think that, I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but there's something coming up around foundations and grounding into your own directionality. I think that's really important right now, that's coming up in the global narrative for all, I mean, all of us, I think.
To be honest, it would make perfect sense, isn't it? Because with all the change that we are experiencing, we have to stay grounded, right? We have to stay, and of course, we've outcreated the definition of grounding a million times. And now it's very much like an inside, a within direction, almost like what does grounded mean to me? It's what what can I create within myself for myself, and then bring it forward for everyone else to participate in. And how do we stay within a certain structure?
Well, I mean, one of the things I notice, I work with a lot of people in person, and when someone comes in, either on the Zoom or on the in person, one of the things I notice is almost every single person who comes in has the Earth Star chakra and the root chakra blocked. And, I mean, everybody, has had trauma growing up, whether it's like one line from your parents that makes that little 3-year-old you go, oh, they don't let me. I think also, though, what's happening in regards to the foundation is what we thought was our foundation, our the heart of earth wasn't. And that's been revealed. You know, there have been so many layers obfuscating the true pure heart of earth that, you know, as humans, ground, you know, being present here on the planet and working with the energy of earth, we haven't been able to get there because there've been this, you know, I like dark matrix overlay. So now that's being torn away and torn away and torn away for the people, or excavated, I should say, excavated away so the pure true heart can be revealed. And I mean, so the foundation is getting reviewed.
Hmm. So how do you, you know, if especially, you know, going back to Venice, what made me, when I looked at the picture as well, is like you have those solidified foundations through the salt water and everything, and of course, you know, it's still sinking and it's still smelling. Whoever's been there, you know, knows these kind of things. Sometimes they're gonna have to block it off and not let anyone in and things like that. But water is all about emotions, right? It's all about waves. And so this is how it's also very significant, because we are being slightly put through the ringer, you know, like thrown up and off the wave and things like that. So how do the others deal with staying foundationally sound? Let's call it that. Let's call it something different. How do you maintain your foundations? And what are your foundations? Okay, so I'm gonna kick it off because you were talking about the heart, Tanya. And as you were talking about the art, I was thinking about art, heart, art. And when I look at, oh, what's the word when you take, when you have a word and you, I never know what that means. Anyway, you use the letters of the word and you make other words up to define it. There's a word for that. What's that called?
Anagram.
Anagram. Right, thank you. So the anagram for art for me is A, for awareness. If I can use awareness as one of my foundational pillars, that makes me feel very comfortable. The second one, the R, would stand for resonance. If I can stay out of the right and the wrong and just work with what do I resonate with, even though it's the weirdest sort of thing, and just trust that, then that would be another foundational pillar for me. And then T stands for truth. What is my truth? And that could be my third foundational pillar that would get me pretty much through whatever happens. How's that for you? And it could be.
Oh, go ahead. Just to weave a little bit from the beginning into the now of what you were saying before about structure and the underground into the new structures, the new rebuilding reclamation is a, a lot of these underground per se are within the earth core, say civilizations or underground pyramids that are coming to light, or mounds of earth that are underwater that are rising, receding, rising, however you want to perceive it. Much of that has been encrypted and encoded. So if we're looking at this simultaneous collapse, rise, rebuild, fall, restructure, rebuild into right order, then all this, everything that was embedded in these structures or anything that hasn't been imprinted or over, say with rubble or otherwise energetically embedded, needs to rise, or encrypted to keep it pure, keep it, safe per se. all of that's rising. So all these structures, a lot of these structures have tunnels, different tunneling systems underneath, many pyramids, of course, civilizations. And while we're bringing everything else to light to reconfigure it and restructure it, to have it in right order, geometrically and otherwise, harmonically with frequencies, all of that has to be known in a way by rising to release, clear, and make space for the right order to arrive and be, proper new earth architecture. So many of these structures, especially with water, the masses of, you want to say mass and the consciousness of water is rising a lot of these different information, informational sequences, coding to the surface, by either reseeding and showing what's been there this whole while, or earthquaking it open so that these inner core, inner earth beings are communicating more freely, etc. It's like all those inner communication networks have to be online so that we can all cohesively work together in this new foundation of right order. So there's all these waves through the water and the waves and the energy. There's all these waves of information coming out, coming up, bubbling up, bubbling out, to be known, to be seen, so that everyone can be on board per se, on board like, like a ship, but to be on board and on the same team. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So how does that feel for you guys? What does that bring up? Are you on board? Are you on the same team? Do you feel that you are sinking, or do you feel that you're floating, or do you feel that you just dragged yourself out of the water?
I think it's a grand rising because of the unity consciousness that's coming into the play. So I'm getting more of a feeling of togetherness and the feeling of more alignment and aliveness. So it's like we're coming into this place of where we're blossoming. We're coming out of a form of, if you like, for some, not for everybody, a form of darkness. So we're emanating into light plasma beings, which is our objective. I feel to be complete human, we need to have a beautiful balance between the carbon and the crystalline beings that we are. And this is coming into a form of alignment. For me, the $1 million question, has this ever happened before? Or is this something which is unprecedented? My gut feeling says it's going to be the greatest show on earth, where all these colors are going to come alive. Not just colors, I think certain fragrances are going to burst into its fullness like never before. So I feel that everything is coming into alignment, and we're going to be telepathic, and we're going to have phenomenal communication at all levels because it's in our birthright to be multidimensional. So this is a time of celebration, and it excites me. It's a beautiful event. And I'm really, really excited. For me, it's not a reset, it's more of a great grand awakening that's within us. So it's going to be exciting. Bit like the background of your wall, Martina. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like it's who did that by anyone we know?
No.
It's a real work of art, if I may say so myself.
Oh, we got
It's,
too many
it's
artists.
bursting. It's
Too many.
bursting with energy, if I may say so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good because I'm not. So that's why I put it up. can hide between the bursts of energy.
Yeah, no, you've done a good job with that. That's great.
Baby, you're a firework.
Yes, my fireworks.
Yeah.
Sandrine, what you got? You want to say something?
Well, yesterday I actually watched Philip Lindsay's documentary on the hidden history of humanity. It's a bit long, but so it long-winded, but it reminded me of that we are maybe finally might be finally stepping into the fact that humanity recognizes that it's not and all the credit to all the ancient scientists, archaeologists, explorers, and everything, that the view of our development is not coming from a 19th century, 18th century, archaeologist who just wrote it down and said this has been, because it says here Khafra pyramid, this is the pyramid of Khafra, right? That and also to pick up on what Berit just said about, has it been there before? If we're looking at evolution in a sense of emergence, what is always evolution is something that is emerging, something new that is coming up, then what we have now has never been there before, right? It is just loaded with everything that existed before. So what has been, put on that in our current mind state, what has been hidden away, in a sense, is a lot. For what reason? Probably power plays, right? I mean, this is what is going on the power plays of the different, and I don't want to say countries, but the triangle also that Philip was presenting, these different forces, in a sense, that you would like to tell them. And yesterday also in the documentary, he was talking about the fact that the Atlanteans were actually also warriors, and they were fighting against something. They wanted to have their pleasures, and not be the good guys, in a sense, right? And the Lemurians were the ones that were trying to keep everything in place. So it's something, the wheel keeps on turning on and on. Well, the spiral actually keeps on turning on and on. It's just that now we are in front of an explosion of minds. I do believe that we are currently more minds, operating minds than we have ever been before in the past. So that also increases. I mean, we are not at a giga computer anymore. We are at quantum level more and more, right? And this is also what I see happening with humanity, in a sense. We are more and more minds that we could use the computing capacity, the organic computing capacity, right? Which would be lovely. And I'm although I had a good common education, I'm like, we need to completely rewrite all the curriculums in the schools, what we are teaching, the children's. Honestly, I mean, everybody should now go to Rudolf Steiner school, although in the past I was the first one who was making, fun of it, because you could first dance your name before you could write it, right? But yeah, so this is, just picking up on these different words and things that are just floating around. So very interesting times we are in.
Yeah. Just want to welcome Sean and Marissa, and we're just talking about the foundations, energetic foundations, how our foundations are holding us up, how they're changing, if they're changing, and you're just using, Sandrine, you're just using the word power, and so much of our power or potential has been siphoned off, but also we've been using a lot of hold on. Oh, she raised her hand. Okay. In a moment, Anameta, yeah. So much of our power, so much of our power we have been using to keep ourselves stagnant and limited. Because that's not something we ever look at. We always look at, okay, so much of the powers get siphoned off, but naturally we are infinite beings, right? So to make ourselves finite and to adapt to this linearity and to work within the box and everything, that takes a lot of power. That takes a lot of energy. Now, as those power structures, those foundations starting to crumble, and as Sareen said, everything is coming up and resetting, and we're going to relook at literally our potential and power is getting released at the same time. Now,
Sometimes I think
yeah,
like you know Samson, like with the chains, like from the biblical stories and stuff.
yeah,
Sometimes I just get the vision of Samson just like holding all the timelines in place and just like how hard it is. Like you said, like it takes an immense effort to keep things from changing.
yeah. Was it Samson and Delilah?
Yeah, like just you know,
What?
like pull down the chains and like the whole
Yeah,
building fell down.
yeah. And you know what? I don't even sometimes, like I'm slightly tired today, my ears are ringing, and it's not that all of a sudden we gonna come up with this, oh my God, I feel amazing. I think there is that kind of transition when we come out of, stopping holding everything up, putting it down, and all of us. It's like, when you go on holidays, or when you work full time, and then you go on holidays, how often do you know people or got sick being on holidays, right? Because that was like, oh, now I can relax, now I can release. So maybe, some of us do find ourselves in that kind of state, and that could be just for an hour, and then, it changes again. Yeah, so we got a hand up. Madame Annemette.
Yeah, I have something in my chest very strongly, so I'm just let the sounds out if you're okay with that.
Okay.
I mean, I won't scream, it's light language. Don't worry. It's not. I have really resonated with what you all have been saying. I have felt like a crumble in me since the equinox. I couldn't hold ground. I was laying. And I got into like a kind of conflict with my parents yesterday, and it threw me off again. And then I went to the neighbor and I let it all out, and I made a citation of everything that I had like trauma stocked in my body, like this scene, this scene, this scene, this scene. Can you imagine this happened? But there was just like a review. And then at the end, I felt like I had finished, and I went out again, and all of a sudden it felt as if it was like compiled in a book and I could put it over here. But I really get deeply while we are talking. I think the new foundation is water, as if it's the water deep under everything. I think there is some kind of sacred water somewhere, and that is being awakened, and that every cell in our body is being encoded in another way, and that's the new grounding kind of thing. There is no grounding as so. I think there is a new connection to something. I don't know where that came from, but it did. So yeah.
Yeah, it feels like as all of this sort of like metaphorical wheat is separating from the chaff, that the wheat is like rising up into our awareness, into our, lives in different ways. But as all of, like Cyrene was talking about, everything just sort of like shaking out and recalibrating, right? It feels like you know, what was working before isn't necessarily working now. You know, so shifting and allowing whatever has been revealed to work within that structure, you know, like what you were saying, Martina, about how many times have people gone on vacation and then gotten sick because all of a sudden it's like, oh, I don't have to hold all the shit together in my day-to-day life, right? I can just, right? And so what comes up to the surface is whatever has been like suppressed down. Like, la, la, you're not there, get down, get back down there, right? But that doesn't work anymore. All of these things are just like, there's an energetic, I don't know, like looseness that's allowing things to recalibrate. I saw a picture, I think it was from the Camelot Project interviews from Ashiana Dean, which were done a number of years ago, but she had done drawings of Earth, all of the layers in inner Earth, and showed all of these different aquifers in all of these different layers of Earth. And so I think, Anamete, when you're talking about the water, like the water being the grounding, right? I think we're getting this energetic resonance from these aquifers that as all of the energy that suppressed the heart of Gaia is starting to shake up and fall away, like she's resonating more in her energetic truth, is my feeling of it.
Yeah, and the sacred waters, when Anameta mentioned those sacred waters and the records, I mean, that's really the connection, isn't it? Because as we know, water is imprinted with all the information, and that sacred water is really metaphorically coming now to erupt. Because, you know, just like with Giza, they're talking about the halls of Amenti, you know, the halls of records. I just did the other. I went to the cardboard and I found a box of power animals cards. And I did my power animal, and my buff is the whale, the record keeper. And that just came in at the right time as well, because it's like, oh, okay, now is the time to bath in your sacred waters. What, Sean, 70, 80% of our bodies are water, right?
Lots.
God.
We're
And
a
it,
lot water.
and the more we release our conditioning, the more sacred the waters become, because, you know, we're starting to remember our coding, our origins, where we've come from, what the mission is, you know, what kind of tribe we are supposed to be connecting with, and God knows what else, right?
If you guys think of your body right now and just try to like target and pinpoint and lock on, where do you think your sacred waters are? And where do you feel them kind of frozen?
Okay.
Like where do you think your most sacred waters are that haven't seen the light of day for a long, long, long time are?
To me, it's in the root where the entrance point of these three flames is. That's where I feel it's there, but I have like kind of put a lid on it.
Hmm. Okay, we got a little throttler.
I feel it's more in the chest area, to truly letting the heart work, do its work. I think that is for me the place where it's still, it's not released.
Yeah, since I've been having blocked ears, I'm going to go with ears.
Interesting.
Something's happening there.
I think for me, it's spine.
In the bone or in the
In this
like the
column, in the central channel. Yeah.
okay, like cerebral spinal fluid.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for bringing that to my awareness.
Well, I like it because we're talking about foundations.
Yeah.
And what's so cool, like we're talking about hidden aquifers and layers of the earth and all these stories. And it seems like our foundation of us just exploring our inner knowledge and making this shit real to us is what's really solidifying it and compounding our foundation. And then however it manifests in the global narrative eventually comes to the surface. But it all starts with this inner journey and just making something out of what used to be nothing. Or it was always there, we just forgot about, whichever way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then of course, back to the water, sacred waters. I mean, this is how every single planet gets created. That's how it all starts, with the water, right? And that's how we're shifting the water from our planet to other planets. And this is also why, our attention is drawn to Atlantis a lot at the moment, right? Because there's a lot of information down there that it's coming up as well.
You
I
guys
was
go, Tanya.
I was walking at Chrissy Field in San Francisco, right near the Golden Gate Bridge, and my dog loves to swim there. And one of my awarenesses working with the energy of the city of San Francisco is I've seen a crystal pyramid under the bay, and have the realization that there's been a civilization, that when we were in some kind of ice age and the waters were lower, or even maybe there was a bubble that had pushed up, that there was a whole Lemurian, Atlantean civilization that cohabitated in the area, and there's tunnels underneath that go to the Twin Peaks. But as I was walking yesterday, I was noticing, almost like, talking about like water and understanding water, I was noticing that coming from that pyramid, there was almost like a white sort of cloud that was very hard to see, that I was seeing like out of the corner of my eye, that all of a sudden this sort of, I don't know, like lightness of energy was being emanated from that pyramid under the bay. So I just think it's interesting as we're talking about water, right? That I don't know, fog bow or whatever it was. I was like, yeah, all right, I can feel that. That's great, and just feeling the way the waters are transforming here, in the Bay Area, being a witness to that feels really, really good.
Can I share something
Please
that
do.
I was yeah. And this is not my opinion. This is just thoughts that I've been getting of late. Is that Barrett mentioned the thing of grand rising, and that kind of resonates with me. The term grand rising, and what I've been feeling is that the foundation that we are pondering upon is, I felt like there is immense light that entered the core, the very core itself of the planet, the center of the planet. And what has been happening, and that's where the foundation starts from, that this light has been blowing everything out from the very center of the planet. And it's rising all the things that has happened and have been sitting in the planet for so long that needs clearing and refreshing. And I feel like it's boiling up to the surface now. And as it's boiling up to the surface, it's also hitting us as well. And so we're feeling that emanating out of everything. And it's what it's doing, it's also refreshing the water. And every single other foundation in the planet is being cleared out and refreshed. And so it's coming out really from the essence, the core of the planet, and coming upwards. So the last place that is being felt is through our own bodies before it emanates further out. And that's how I've been kind of seeing it happen. Like I'm getting like a visual of it, and then not in a sense of seeing it with my eyes visual, right? But I'm feeling that. And the other question that was asked was, has this ever happened before? And my feeling is that I agree with something that Sandrine has said as well. No, this has not happened before. This is the first time that this is happening, and the experience is really brand new for us, and as it's happening, we're reacting in the moment of whatever is taking place. And so all kinds of stuff is happening, and everything is like coming together as this one giant mess. But like AB had said before, it's like a hairball that's, being vomited up, and so we just have to entangle that as being the event that it's happening in. So that's what I kind of wanted to share, and those are my thoughts, not my opinion.
No, thank you. Thank you, Lana. Yeah.
To expand on that, because that's cool, Lana. Like
Thank
the
you.
core of the planet, hey, neighbor. So the core of the planet, but we can think of like the heart of the planet, this great light source. And what kind of force is needed, or what kind of freedom is needed for everything to reach that spot, or at least just kind of get back to source and then come out and recycle itself. Like, and as like the energy of the planet gets stronger, solar maximum is happening. We're getting more solar flares, coronal holes. We're getting more space weather, juicing up the global electric circuit. And as we co-create with it, and we get these feedback loops, a different part of the planet's activate and get more resonant, we're juicing up the grid, and more things will energize themselves back to the heart and then back out again. And we all know, like, once things gets back to the heart, that's when the true joy starts sparking back up again. But some of the sacred waters can just be in some dark spots for a long time, or parts of us that just, it's the furthest away from the sun as possible. We got shit where the sun don't shine. And when that gets back to the core, what changes?
Yeah, and of course, what comes up when we talk about all of that is the energy of receiving. How much are we willing to receive all that energy, all that information, all that data, right? All those plasma, all the plasma that's coming through all the solar flares and everything, right?
A lot of that's appreciating our cycles. You
Mm.
said, like, it's not like night la di da di da. No, it's just this in and out feedback cycle, and just understanding our cycles is very important with it.
It's interesting that we had a lunar eclipse a couple of weeks ago, and then on this Saturday, there's going to be a solar eclipse. Not a total solar eclipse, but like maybe 3/4, 90% solar eclipse. So we're at this moment in between both of those things, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, together with the equinox.
And new moon on Saturday also.
Yeah, fascinating.
It's a lot. I was surprised when I heard that one. And this might be overly simplistic, but just think of how the frequency of that. Like literally each day the sun comes up, we see bright light and it goes down. But then every once in a while, out of nowhere, the bright light disappears again and shows up on the moon. And just think about how it, like, that frequency weaves itself into our firing light patterns that we see of the world. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
And then our bodies have to deal with that minute by minute. No wonder we feel aches and pains and air blocking and all kinds of stuff.
Well, could we think how much the moon tunes our body? Then we think about how much the sun tunes our body. Then we have things like heart rate variability, and it's the the time spaces in between, that's the communication system. And then we have these eclipses and these, of the sun, of the moon, which are just different cycles. And then all the planets, all our starry medicine bowl. It's quite
All on
the
one side.
unknown.
We just had the grand alignment of all the planets a couple of weeks ago as well.
Yeah,
I
That's nice.
keep thinking as we're talking that about water and all of these things, that water is a superconductor, right? If you're in the bathtub and your hair dryer falls in, right, that's going to superconduct the electricity and you're not going to be around very long. So the water in our bodies is also the conduit for all of this like energetic shifting that's happening also. I mean, no wonder that we can feel discombobulated when we're in a cycle like this.
And water being just one of the elements, right? So what is the impact of the change in water? How does that actually impact on the other elements as well within ourselves, as we are made out of, as we are nature and everything?
I mean, it feels to me like there's more elements available. Like there's not just, 5 elements, right? So now as we're
Oh.
shifting, we're seeing the availability of like the element of plasma. Like 2 years ago, nobody was talking about plasma. Like, what the heck? I mean, I think there was an awareness of it, but now it's plasma, 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 right? Because this element is available to us in our resonant frequency here and this now.
It's mind-blowing that fire is actually a plasma.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like when you really look into it, it is a plasma, which is interesting how we communicate with it so
Mhm.
often.
Mhm.
It's also fun to think about densities. So just as we're talking about conductors, we're talking about, let's just start use electricity as an example, but moving through a density or sound, whatever you want to use. But like electricity will jump easiest through air because the density is not that strong. And then through water, it's a bit tighter and more compact. So you need more electricity to pierce that density and go to the next one. Then you have stones, which is even denser. So you need even stronger charge just to jump out of that density into the next density. And yeah, it's fun to think about.
Exactly.
I think we need to make a song up out of that.
We'll get Barrett onto this. So just Barrett, remember all those words and then give us because Barrett about later on. But you're not going to the airport or anything, right?
Going to the airport in about 10 minutes.
You're not, right?
I'll make it 15. That'll be great.
Are you
Density, a conductor of
Are you
electricity.
joking?
It's interesting also, if I can just quickly throw this in, that the operating system, it's suddenly we're upgrading it from the scarcity aspect to the abundance. Because if you become abundant and you become conscious of how abundant you are, and you're working with this energy, which is amazing, and connecting to the cosmic energy, which is all around us, there is no scarcity. And we, whoever sort of bought into it, it was a limited time period only, and now it's self-correcting itself. And we're going to go into this overdrive now, and we're going to be super conscious. And this planet, I feel very soon it will begin to glow like a star. It's pretty dim at the moment, but it's going to, and we're going to do this. We are the ones that are going to, because we're super conductive ourselves. So we are a lot of things interwoven into one. So, but as we become united, the collective consciousness that's coming into the alignment, that's going to create this incredible it's going to be like an infusion. And it's I've actually seen it in a form of meditation. It's like a glow, and it's and we're all going to be omnipresent as well, and we're going to be we're not going to need the form of communication, which I don't know if you guys are conscious enough, but you do use a lot of energy when you talk. So as you become more conscious, considering how much energy that goes into this, and you're more in line with your soul, and you sit in that stillness and that silence. But you know, your body is a projection. Let's not fool ourselves. It is a holographic projection. Question is, who's projecting it? It's my understanding it is your soul that's projecting. Question is why? My understanding is to gain spiritual merit. We're here to be in joy. We're here to be happy and not be in this place of survival. We're not here to survive. We're here to thrive. And the more we come together like we have today, for example, we're communing and we're celebrating. It's a gathering. We're sharing. We're open. We're receptive. We're loving. And our listeners are getting excited. So it's we're synchronizing, we're sinking into that place where before a lot of us were fearful. The fear is being removed. And and we're going into that place of neutrality, harmonizing, neutralizing, alkalining. God, it's amazing.
It's like
It's amazing how
shining up the silver set,
Yeah,
getting all of that gunk and dirt off. So it
great.
shines and shines and shines.
yeah, getting it going. It's neat how all this compounds information. Like literally in the digital age, as we jump from physical digital into a spiritual age, just all this is being compounded. All this can be used in our soul-based algorithms to plan lifetimes, to have agents, to just get the contracts all drawn up to create the proper synchronicities. And there's just so much information that we can plan it better and easier and understand things from the past and the future. And what's also interesting, you're talking about, like, imagine when all our systems and our technology comes online in our body, and we have an arc field, which is a boundary that contains our I amness. And as that gets stronger and stronger, we become more sovereign. But so the Earth has its own arc field as well. And as its technology comes on, more and more discoveries happen, like what happened at Giza, and we use more LiDAR and discover more ancient sites. And we understand how to power up their resonant chambers with our prayers and intentions. And then that beefs up our arc field of the planet till it glows golden, like you said. And then the Earth is online. It's its own sovereign presence as well.
Absolutely. I just want to ask the question again, Barrett. You're not going to the airport, right? That was a joke.
No, but we can sort of talk about the singing another time, maybe, because there's.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Are you feeling shy?
Mm,
No. Good. Okay.
Steady.
No worries. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Foundation, scarcity, receiving, what else we got there? Because yeah, scarcity is a result of not receiving, right? Of
Yeah, not
blocking,
recycling the gifts of life.
yeah, blocking the receiving. So what stories do we still have to weed out in order to unblock the receiving? Or if you just check in, because I like the question Sean asked earlier, and look at the percentage of your body. What's the percentage of your body receiving right now?
My body's like, which part's receiving?
Yeah,
Can you repeat the question, please? I didn't get it.
the question is, ask your body how much, the percentage of your ability to receive right
Oh,
now
percentage. Okay, I didn't hear it. Okay.
from this conversation. And of course, this is not just this, but the entourage that is with us here, you know, having a conversation, listening to the conversation, you know, and all of that. What you got? What you guys got?
26%.
So many different numbers.
What did you say, Tanya? You started?
26%.
You're receiving 26%, okay? What else we got?
I don't know, I'm at 10 because I'm doing 5,300,000 other things on the side. I'm sorry, it's because everybody just seems to be now waking up that tomorrow they need to come to a place where they're like, ah! But okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. And there's no right or wrong anyway. It's just
No.
an interesting thing because you're sitting here, you're thinking you're partaking in this conversation, but how much are you actually receiving?
Depends, really.
I gotta run. Okay.
Great to see you, Sean. Thanks for popping
Okay.
in. Bye. Bye.
It
He's fine.
depends how present you are, really. I mean, if you're like 50% present, you're going to receive 50%. If you're 100% present, you're going to receive 100%. So I'd say I'm 100% here right now because I'm 100% in tune with everyone. And even before I came here, I'm excited all the time because you guys are very elevated. So it excites me each time I come into the play, each time I come into context. Um, my soul gets excited. So
But wouldn't you say that receiving and then being present is also, there is a difference there? For instance, I feel in this group, I mean, the whole day I was down and I said I was dragging myself through the mud. But as soon as we went on, I immediately got, you know, the positive energy, the energies that always spring up, and especially now, you know, with also new people in here. So thanks for that. So the receiving for me is also something that later on when I go, and I call that my digestive process, where actually things are coming, you know, to land of the conversation, tidbits, you know, something's like, oh, well, isn't this, that, and that. So yesterday when I was watching that long-winded documentary, now that we are talking about it, now everything that I was receiving there is actually, you know, now coming like, that was that, this is, you know, the connections are now establishing. So I agree with you, when you're 100% present, you can receive 100%, but actually you that capability is like the presence 100% receiving might be still different. That's for me.
no, and I respect that profusively because we're all unique. We're all unique frequencies. Once you remove the veil and the indoctrination and the artificiality, what are we left with? We're all siphoning information based on our own abilities, and you know, you can't put everyone in one box. We're all unique, and so I agree. What you said is absolutely perfect. You know, we're all receiving what we're capable of receiving. Let me just get rid of. There we are.
I like your explanation there, Sandrine, because just as I'm like thinking about how I receive, it's almost like there's a container, right, that is my own energy, and I'm always receiving from source and earth. But then there's a secondary container that works like my waiting room, where information comes in and holds there. And then I discern whether I want to bring that into my energy field or not. Like, is it relevant? Is it, is it relevant to what I'm doing? Is it, the right frequency that's going to resonate with me? So then if it's not, then it's, flushed out instead of, it's more like assessed first before it's received.
I like that analogy of the waiting room. That's great.
So let's add to that, yeah? Let's add to that, because for me, true receiving it's a flow of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a waiting room. Everything comes in And I trust that whatever needs to stay will, no, that's not true. Nothing actually ever stays, because remember, we're a hologram, right? So everything just comes in and goes through us. And whatever resonates, that might create an impulse, a spark of something, spark a memory, help add to the conversation or something. But at the end of the day, it just goes through me. And for me, the definition, presence is part of it, but it's also, for me, is the sacred neutral. Sacred neutral for me is, which allows me to receive without a point of view. I'm working on it, obviously, but it's a thing in what do you call this? In the making. Just no judgment. So there's no agreement. There's no agreement. There is no, yes, I agree with you, because that's irrelevant. I'm just receiving whatever that is. I don't define it. I don't deny it. I'm just allowing it. And then it might spark something. It might just be a word. And obviously it's not the word itself. It's the energy within the word. And this is how I like to facilitate as well. Have maybe a couple of questions, but then just work with whatever energy comes in, and then what sparks. And then that leads me to the next. That for me is true receiving. And am I 100% truly receiving? Absolutely not. No, rarely, because there's too much that often,
Yeah. But this also comes from the fact that you have, that you've been in the therapy business before, right? And that you have switched around things to not,
Well,
you have made a conscious decision of
Yeah.
this receiving flow in a different way, right?
Well, I've learned about that,
Mm-hmm.
because that's when you work with energy, you've got to look at those flows, the receive flow, what am I blocking? And then you go into, okay, so what's my belief? What's my thought? What is the causing that? But initially is, how does the energy flow? It's like we were having this conversation the other day. It's like,
yeah,
we can manipulate, and manipulate is not a bad word. It can be a win-win situation. You can manipulate the flow of energies. Let's say, for instance, somebody's right in your face. Then what do we normally do? We push against it. We're trying to push them away. And that's when we create the opposite of what we really want to create, because they need, it's almost like we're putting them in a situation where they have to keep fighting us, because that's the energy they thrive on. And that's what drains us. So the best way of working with people who are in our face, and we don't necessarily like that, we just pull energy, source energy through them, through us, and back out. So we just reestablish that flow of energy. Because anyone who needs to align and agree, resist and react, fight and have, conclusions and opinions, they cannot live in a space of all this expanse of energy and openness. That's when they fizzle out. They go somewhere else, train somebody else. And there are enough people out there. Yeah.
I find it interesting, this discussion about receiving, because I have like my liver all of a sudden is all, and I don't know what's going on. I have like no, it might be very unconscious. And I was thinking about, I think it's also a question about allowing oneself to be vulnerable, but not in the old way of being vulnerable, but not always. I can be like, okay, I vibrate high, but then there's still all this clay in the body that hasn't been worked into some sculptures that I can use to something. It's just laying there, and there's, when the light hits, it's like very dense. And that for me, I haven't found out how to receive that. Like when I listen to you, Martina, you say just pull in source and just let it go through, but I haven't figured out when I block, it's often in the solar. Like I haven't found out how to receive things, because sometimes you can also, I haven't received anything I don't like here, but for example, yesterday I received a lot of words towards me that I didn't like, but I went into shock. Like I couldn't even say a word. I was just like, oh, and then after I went into my normal tumultuous way because it triggered a big, deep wound. So it's like there is receiving and receiving. Like, how do you decide what not to receive? Like that's
There's only receiving or not receiving. Receiving without a point of view is when you allow everything, even if it's total and utter BS, right? You just, it's energy, remember? You are an energy transformer. You're just going to let it go through. It's not going to do anything to you. The only time when it does get stuck is when there is something within your belief system or within your point of view system that blocks it.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what it did yesterday.
Yeah.
But right now I just have this tightness here, and so I feel like when I have that, I'm not able to receive. It's like
So yeah, use your breath for that and breathe through it. You don't even have to know necessarily what the culprit is there. You know, you can just say, okay, acknowledge there is a blockage of receiving. Great, let's just pull it through. Pull it through. And then you intensify the source energy because it's all energy, remember, and you just pull it through. Out.
This is exactly what because you gave me that you reminded me of that the other day when we had a talk, Martina, and I feel it. Okay, so how it happens is that somebody says something to me, and then I immediately there is reaction because I'm this impulsive, expressive person. So if that person already gets on my nerve, the expression is rapid fire from my side, but it doesn't serve anything. It doesn't serve the harmony. It doesn't serve. It brings everything into imbalance. So following Martina's reminder that she gave me about the flow of the energy and that letting it through, I now, if something is coming up to me, I sense how it is hitting, but then I open the gate in a sense, like, I'm just like, okay, just let it, let it go through. And this is what I have been practicing now the last couple of days. It works much better. I have to say, but I still need to first breathe and get my sense in not going into reactive mode immediately. It's still a practice. I mean, it's a practice anyway.
Well, it's a practice because that's what we usually do. We defend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but this is where I've got 3 good questions for that, and there's no need to answer them. Those are facilitator questions, yeah? So what do you love about being powerless?
oh my gosh. That's a good one.
Let that sink in if it resonates, or just receive it and let it go out.
Wow.
Because that's what we're doing by doing that. There is a righteousness versus freedom. So do you want to be free or do you want to be right? Do you want to be right or do you want to be free?
Yeah, to me, it's also about, I got the immediate question was answered immediately. Like, it's like, then I don't need to take responsibility.
Uh-huh. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. So what do you hate about being powerless? And again, no need to answer that. Just let it sink in and see if it triggers something, and then you can work with that later on. Because those are really good trigger questions. They go straight to the thing. And what do you not love about being powerless? it's quite amazing how tiny little change of word, especially playing with the oppositions and stuff like that, can sort of, oh my God, now I can hear her. Didn't hear the hate, because I don't do hate, of course. But what do you not love? Oh shit. Yeah. So there's no hiding behind that. And it's a powerlessness. So all that fire that we think that we are extinguishing it ourselves. Bear it. Do you want to say something? No. He doesn't want to talk today. Okay.
Oh, it's interesting questions. To me, in a way, like power is really an illusion, right? Like, I think you can be empowered within yourself, but to have and hold power, it doesn't really make sense because you can't really control what other people are doing. You know, you can like hold space and you can witness and be present, but you can't, I don't know, if someone has, like you were saying, has opinions and is up in your face, I don't think you can change that, right? Or, I mean, I don't feel the need to change that anyway, right? It's either is or it's not, right? Just like you say, you're either receiving or you're not receiving, right? So I don't know. I think it's an interesting illusion to say, like, I don't know. When I think of the word power, it feels like power over something, right? And
Yeah.
I can be having that over myself, or sometimes not, right? Sometimes things are out of your control. Like when you're waiting in line at the DMV to get your license renewed. You know, it's like you don't have power there. They have power.
Yeah. But I mean, and also, you know, I mean, power over, yeah, that again, that's a slightly different energy again, you know, because from an infinite being perspective, we're infinite beings, and as an infinite being, you are powerful,
Mm.
not over anyone else, but for an infinite being, for me, powerful just includes everything. It's the sovereignty, it's the sacred neutral, it's the being able to receive. It's just an expression. And of course, what comes with all of that too is that as an infinite being, when you can live as from a place of an infinite being, you don't need protection either. Because power and protection somewhat hold each other's hand, they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Then why? Okay, then the question comes up, you know, so we are choosing this human experience to actually experience the limitations.
Until you're not, yeah, not necessarily. It just so happened that that's what happened.
Or, you know, or what is the monkey wrench, or what is the monkey wrench, you know, that is being thrown into the system for, you know, although as an infinite being you are choosing this human existence, but then why? So that would, you know, in a sense, then that would mean that this body does also have kind of a consciousness that can then go into conflict with the infinite being consciousness.
Oh yeah, it would do that all the time. But you know, we didn't necessarily come here to be limited. If we go back all the way, we came here to create. We came here to create new planets and to seed. I mean, Earth is a seventh dimensional seed planet. We've come here to create new life in the very, very beginning. And this is obviously where, you know, we then have to look at the matrix that was somewhat bastardized and thrown us into limitation. But there is an a possibility for us to get back into limitless potency, where really we're creating from choice purely, not anymore from trigger points or from getting out of our limitations. This is where we're heading towards. At least that's what I'm thinking.
I have a little experience that I'd like to share that came up, Martina, as you were talking about someone being in your face and letting that energy flow through you. You know, I have a very sovereign setup in my house and in my space. And because of the work I do, you know, I'm very, very good at keeping that energy clean and setting the energetic boundaries that beings with bad intentions can't come in. But occasionally there'll be, you know, things that ride in on other people. And there was one of my husband's friends had a new girlfriend who came over, and so some energy rode in on her ancestral lineage, a dark entity actually. And I was meeting her for the first time, and she kind of got in really close, and she was a hugger and wanted to be like in my energy space. And I'm like, God, what is happening right now? You know, just like ask myself, wait, what is going on right now? And it wasn't that I was uncomfortable with the energy, but I could feel this sort of, I don't know, like dark entity that was entangled in like her paternal ancestral lineage from like the Catholic programming, like trying to like come into my space and knock me on the head. And I'm like, oh no, you didn't. And so I just like blasted my light out from my heart and like sent a light like through that energy and cast it out of my home. And that entity was so PO'd, you know, crying and whining. And then I saw, you know, two angels just like standing with boundaries around my space. And I said, look, you can't be here. You don't have good intentions, you know, for this person or for any of us here. And you're not allowed in the space. And then it went to, I'm going to report you to whatever it was going to report me to. I don't know. So the look though on this person's face, like all of a sudden, like she relaxed and the dark circles under her eyes went away. And it was like, oh, she could breathe again for a second. And so, you know, I mean, to me, that guy came into my waiting room and I was like, oh no, I'm not receiving your energy. Thank you very much. So yeah, I was just like thinking about that from a different perspective and how it would have been had I like let that energy flow through me and go out instead of like blasted the shit out of it. I don't know, just something I was thinking about as we've been talking this conversation.
Absolutely. And both of it is receiving, right? Because you received it, you put him in this is your kind of receiving, you know, but you did something with it. You torsioned it, you brought it into zero balance by using your tools. So you received it. You didn't go in a strop or have like emotional, starting to, or take it on or anything like that. You received it, you put him into the waiting room, you got your tools out and you cleared him basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I
Absolutely.
received from it, perhaps if you had just let it go through, he would just have gone somewhere else. Whereas you like gave him a conscious knockout, like, hey, wake up, look at what you're doing. So it was as if he needed like a mirror. And I get like, perhaps if you had just let him through, he would just have been continuing doing that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like seeing pictures of this person, you know, from my husband's friends, whatever. I can see that that energy is, you know, still attached to her, right? But in that moment, I felt like she was able to have a moment of awareness, what it felt like without that being attached to her energy. And that was, you know, from my perspective, a good thing. So
Yeah, yeah. And from the other place, it's a similar process. When I say it comes through you, then you can do this when you are at the level of awareness that you I wouldn't say identify, but you know yourself as a transmuter. You know, and you know yourself a transmuter, and you bring everything that comes into your vicinity into zero balance, then you can get it straight through. Use your heart. You do what you have to do because you trust, you know exactly what you're doing. You just let it go through. You got the same sort of result. But if it was a demon, as you say, something dark, they'll always find a way back. And they create another one. But you know, if she's not ready to let her demon go, well, then she creates another one. Absolutely. But you put your foot down. You said, "Hey, I'm an infinite being, not in my house. This is gonna, you know, we're gonna do this now." That's it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
Exactly it.
that's where also, you know, when we talked about protection early on, you didn't need to go, oh my God, I need 5,000 crystals now to put around me. No, you just knew that you're transmuted. That's it. Putting it through, done. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I do have 5,000 crystals around me anyway. So.
No, of course.
And when we do, you know, when we do that, we also become the crystal, right? Because the water in our body resonates with, you know, the crystalline energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And they support your job. They support who you are. They support your crystal as well. You know, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, friends. Thank you.
I have a
My
question
goodness.
about, without going too much into the details. My parents lately, they have been talking really bad to me. Like yesterday, they started like really talking about you do. And I think I triggered something because I wanted to go to Denmark, and then my daughter, she can stay at the house for 1 month, but they won't let me stay for a month. So I was like, what's the difference? And I should never have asked that. They triggered the heck out of them. But I get so shocked every time. And I think it's because it's my parents, because no, it's not because I have had several tests lately. Instead of putting up a boundary for myself, or instead of just letting it go, like be the observer, neutral, whatever, because there are lots of solutions of how one can deal with that, I freeze. And it's very uncomfortable because I feel like I'm with an open heart, and all of a sudden they're just like being in the old game with putting on opinions on me and whatever. And I was just open. I was just like, and then it's just like, how do I not deal with that, but how can I no longer get into freeze mode? Because it's not the first time it happens lately. I totally freeze. I'm like observing it, like I'm like, and then I'm stepping back, and then I observe it all. But when I don't say a thing, I defend myself a little, not defend, I just explain myself. But then when I hang up, I'm like, all the trauma come, all the stories that I tell myself come up, and rah, 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 rah. And I would like to be better at not freezing, actually, and just do like we talked about here, like, but how do one get out of a freeze state? Have any of you been in a freeze state where you couldn't like act? I find it
Well,
very,
I would suggest that that's not the now you that's freezing. It's the
no,
child
it's my
you.
inner child.
Yeah.
Or a certain age, I got that. But I would like to really be able to not get bothered by what they say. Why does it bother me? Why can't I just like, okay. But the weird thing is, if that had been a friend, we would have a discussion after, and then they would work on themselves. I would see what happened on my side, and then we move on. But with my parents, I can't do that because they're not open to that. So
Right, because when it seems to me that they're still seeing you as that child, right?
yeah,
And treating you
that
as
was
that
really,
child.
really
And so you can't ever move past that point until, you know, I don't know, I nurturing and loving that wounded child within you and letting her know that she's validated. I think, you know, one of the things I see a lot is going on just collectively is all of these soul shards coming back together, right? Calling
Yeah,
all of these little
I
parts and
cried a lot
pieces
yesterday.
back, and
Got
those
parts of me,
include the
and I was,
wounded child.
yeah.
That includes the wounded child within, right? The
Mm,
4-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old, whatever age it is that you
yeah,
had trauma, right? That part of you splits out just like a soul shard from a past lifetime.
exactly. That's spot
Right.
on. Thank you. Because I saw myself as a baby and roll into like whoop, like this, and I rolled it out and I cried and I said, I love you, I love you. And this morning when I got up, I cried again and I was looking in the mirror and I was saying, why don't you act and stand up for yourself? Why do you let them say all these things? Why don't you do anything? Crying. But at the moment, I would like that it could not go so far because it takes me 24 hours to get back to myself. I would like to just be able to like click, 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 and then not be frozen and just like, I don't know. I feel it's very laborious, kind of. So I thought perhaps there is a shorter way or a more effective, efficient way to do this.
Yeah, you know, wounded child is a tough thing, you know, to move
It's
through. And
the journey
it's
of
like when,
discovery.
yeah.
The journey of what, Martina?
It's a self-mastery journey, you know what I mean? Where you got to weed through all the stories of the past and find the teaching, find the learning, do the forgiveness journey, you know.
Yeah,
Sometimes
but I would just,
not one of those click your finger and off it goes, you know what I
I
mean?
would like it to be less emotional.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Well, and maybe that's the key, right? Like what are you again pushing away instead of embracing and integrating, right? Just like letting that energy like flow through you and be you
Yeah,
for a
I did
second.
that yesterday evening and this morning. I couldn't do it elsewhere. I said, okay, I surrender. And I just, first anger came out, then the cry, but then all the gifts came. But it's kind of like, I know it's for a reason because we are all being pushed. I mean, we can't keep the cement in the body that all these structures that we falsely held together. I don't know. Earlier, we were talking about who said that all this energy is going to defend ourselves. I feel like so much of my energy is going to like not being attacked, like, and I said to my neighbor, because I went to her this morning, I said, can you imagine if I put all that into creativity, what that could do? And it's as if everybody is being like, because my parents, they normally don't react that way. So it's also, if it's the more I become myself, I feel like I just trigger them. And I think, really? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because as a child, your parents had authority over you,
Exactly. But
right?
they,
Over all of us, right? When we're kids, like they're supposed to teach us, they're supposed to guide us and protect us, and you know, we're supposed to learn what we're supposed to learn, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have chosen them in the first place.
yeah.
But you know, that like young you, I think I posted a picture on the Earth Nouveau
Mm.
network of me as a 9-year-old Girl Scout hanging upside down. And that was a tough age for for me in a lot of ways because I went through a random Kundalini awakening when I was 9 doing this Girl Scout event with Native American snake dance. And I think that was the point where I consciously, subconsciously, I don't know how it happened. That was the point where I stepped away from my parental authority. Like I didn't allow my parents to have energetic authority over me anymore at that age. They wanted to, and so then there was like the struggle there. But and especially like then through the teenage years. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a step to sovereignty to be able to, like, in retrospect, see exactly what I was doing that I didn't know that I was doing.
And I mean, you did that at the age of 9, so you can do that too.
Mhm.
It's
So
a
coming back to those little parts of all of us, you know, that are still like little shards hanging out over here, wanting to be seen, and the PTSD that's created, right, creates that freeze energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what we call forced receiving. So when you grew up in a place where you had to receive, where you were being forced to receive, yeah, being told who you are, what you got to do, what you got to wear, when you're going to eat, and all of that, when you're going to go out, when you're not going to go out, then the receiving becomes an issue at a later stage if you haven't dealt with the forced receiving, because everything falls under that thought pattern then at, okay, whatever I'm allowing into me is gonna limit me, is gonna make me less, it's gonna make me angry, it's gonna, not work for me.
Yeah.
That the bastardization of receiving comes, and this is also where the lack and the scarcity comes in, because if we can't receive, we can't even receive money, we can't receive kindness, we can't receive anything.
Yeah, that really talks to me.
Yeah.
But I talked with my daughter about it after. She said, "But why don't you just say this and this?" I said, "I did last time. I expressed like something, a boundary for me. My dad, he wanted to talk to me about taxes just before I got to teach, and I said I can't do it before because my brain doesn't work in the morning, and I certainly not before teaching." And then he
Yeah.
said, "I don't know if my brain will work in the afternoon or another day." Like, really? But they are so shocking. Like it's like, okay.
Mm.
Yeah, but
And say, my
that's
dad invited us all to Africa once, and then he said, "Yeah, we only want you with if you don't have any breakdowns, or if you don't get like hanging mouth and you don't look happy, we don't want you with us." That was too much pressure, so I didn't go. But it's crazy.
well, as the old question, and that's equally annoying as any of my questions, really. For what purpose have you chosen your parents?
I haven't figured that one out yet. Perhaps
Yeah,
it will
that's
help me
a good
feel better when I figure that one out.
There's a really good exercise from the Liquid Crystal Oracle that is great for that. So the crystal aventurine, right? You can use aventurine. I'll just drop it in the chat, but it helps with. Do you guys know what aventurine is?
No.
It's a green.
It's a blue crystal.
Yeah, it's a green, light green. It looks like jade, but it has a lot of mica in it, so it's sort of like has a silvery sheen to it. But it's really great for understanding why you chose your parents. I'll see if I can find the little
I would
trinity and
walk with
drop
that.
it in the chat. Oh, here it is. Oh yeah, so you put hematite on your root chakra, aventurine on your heart, and then sulfur on the crown chakra. And lie down and relax. You can put jade under your pillow to help with understanding. And just do a little meditation. And the aventurine, which connects with the energy of the unlimited self, is really great for drawing in your unlimited perspective so you can have awareness.
Will you write it after? Oh, you did it. So
Look.
thanks.
I just dropped it in the chat.
Yeah, I
So-
saw it.
Yeah, no, that is a good question. I've asked that a million times. I used to,
Mhm.
and it was very
Mhm.
useful. And when I look
Mhm.
back now, I know exactly why I chose them, and I'm so grateful for everything.
Yeah, I haven't come to that yet.
Because I wouldn't be the person sitting here today having this conversation with you if I would not.
Yeah,
And I can see the
exactly.
strength, I can see the potency, I can see the determination, the endurance, the kindness in them
Mhm.
that I didn't see at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Good.
it's really funny because then when I get hurt, then I'm like, I should not accept them talking to me if they don't want to listen. I won't see them again. And then I get into all that, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not neutral. But then at the same time, how much will I endure? So I'm going through all the things in my head, like, and it's not resolving the real thing, any of what I can come up with, but because I haven't found like the real thing to do. So yeah.
Well, and you know, it's important to remember too that people all have wounded children that have been split out as soul shards, right? So is it the adult, right, that you're speaking with in that moment? Or is it the 10-year-old rebel, right, who isn't integrated into your dad, right? For you. Yeah.
They even said to me yesterday, you should respect what we are saying. I said, I didn't at any point in this conversation not respect your boundaries, how long I can stay with you. I was just wondering why my daughter could stay 1 month and I was only allowed to stay 1 week. But they didn't like that question. So.
Well, sounds like you wouldn't want to anyway.
What?
It sounds like maybe you wouldn't want to anyway.
Yeah, I would have
Stay
stayed
for longer than a week. Boy, I don't know if
Oh.
I wouldn't want to.
No,
Stay with my parents for longer than a week. That's enough.
I'm doing it
I
for
love
the last
them.
6
I
months,
understand.
okay?
I know.
What are you doing, Sandrine?
She's working it.
Staying with
I'm
her
doing it for
parents.
the last 6 months.
You
We
live
all
with
have
your
to do
parents?
it.
Yeah. So
Ah.
how is your perspective been on, I mean, is there healing that's happening in your relationship? Is there
Yes.
frustration? I'm sure all of the above.
Yes. And as I said, with the reminder of Martina, you know, with the flow of the energy, it's like, yeah, I just need to tweak and twist it left and right. It's more working on me. What still continues to frustrate me, and that is probably what Anameta is also going through, is that these two persons in this house are not willing to work on themselves because they don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't have that same relationship with my mom. My mom, she really worked on herself. So there are things there that are just different. I still cannot really live with her, but that's just me. It's because otherwise we will have World War III in like 15 minutes, but it's okay. Though I also subscribe to everything that Martina said. I really know why I chose my parents. I do. And although there is a more harmonious relationship going on currently, which is good. We just had a downfall yesterday because of one person just, again, behaving like an idiot. Okay, again, because they don't want to work on themselves. Okay, so what you do is just you breathe through, you know, you just stand next to them and you just breathe. That's what you can do. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are all great reminders for us to step back into our potency, to not lower our frequency vibration to theirs, to stay within our sovereign boundaries, and to, if you want to use the heart, you can use the heart. Some people like this, you know, working with the heart. Whereas, you know, I'm not a big fan of opening the heart to them, because that leaves you completely.
No, that's not good.
But what really surprises me is that they can talk to me like that. Never ever would I tolerate a friend who would talk to me like that.
Yeah, but you tolerate it with them, so that's really the issue here. The question is, what's it gonna take for you to stop tolerating that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
I'll have to work on that
I
one.
don't.
They can be. It's not to talk about them. It's more like, I don't get how they can talk to like that. I don't get it. I'm so surprised. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
And I think this is actually a very good point you're making, and I think we're going to finish on that one, if we're okay with that. We've lost already a few people. That I don't get it is what's really, really cutting your awareness out. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to be surprised about. There's nothing to be confused about. You just see what is, you keep your awareness, and you act accordingly. What's going to mess you up big time is trying to be confused about it, because nobody else will talk to you like that. You would never talk to anyone like that.
exactly.
Yes.
And
So
if I did, which I have with my daughter, I will come, excuse me, 2 minutes out.
Listen to me, Annemette.
Yeah.
Stop being confused, yeah? This
Yeah.
is how they speak to you. So use your awareness to step it up and not tolerate the way they speak to you.
Thank you. That makes me cry.
Yes, that's good. Because now I'm speaking to you for a change.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That really,
Welcome. Yeah,
really
you're very welcome.
hit home, you say.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And on that note, foundations. Foundation.
Oh,
Yeah.
What are your pillars of foundation? Sovereignty, self-mastery, resonance. What have I got with A?
Joy.
Awareness.
Awareness.
And joy.
Die? What?
And joy.
Joy.
Oh, joy.
Joy.
Joy. Magic.
Got
Consciousness.
that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay.
Goofiness.
Hooray.
Exactly. Let the coyote come out. I've got coyote in my power animals. As well. Little
I
clip.
just want to let you know what came up while we talked.
Oh, wow. What is it?
I
Amazing.
don't know.
Oh, I like it.
It's not finished.
Good.
All of a sudden, I couldn't.
Show us,
get
post it on Facebook once you're finished. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Fabulous, girls.
Thank you all.
Thanks very much for being here. And we'll see you all next week.
And thanks for
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, next week for the Europeans, we're back to 5 o'clock because we're changing our clocks, at least the UK.
Well, yeah,
clock.
the UK. So actually the UK is still for main Europe. We will be at 6 o'clock then.
All right. Okay. Well, you sort yourself out. I just know I need to get back to 5.
Yeah, you are the one who needs to change, because
I'm gonna change, so you know what to do. Okay.
yeah, because you are always 1 hour behind us.
Yes.
You're on Greenwich time. We are not.
It just moves 1 hour later.
When are you guys? When do Europeans move?
On Saturday to Sunday.
This one. Okay. Well, the same thing then. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
6 o'clock for you then. Yeah. All right. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Big hugs all.
Much love. Thanks for all your